make something work, amen. He messaged me yesterday, he'll be here.
All right, good morning and welcome to the Sunday School Hour. Let's get started with a song. I got my Bible. I need a songbook, don't I? Number 22.
Yeah, there we go. 22.
Let's stand together. 22. This is a good one, and I think the kids will sing it here at about Easter time. Christ is all I need. 22. Christ is all I need. Christ is all I need. All I need. Christ is all I need. Christ is all I need. All I need. Number 2, He was crucified for me. He died on Calvary. That He loved me so. This is why I know Christ is all I need.
Amen. Well, good morning. Good to have Brother Value with us. And it's a happy anniversary to Brother Value. It's 40 years in a row he's been coming here, helping the church and the track league, and those that work at the track league, helping with their taxes and so forth. But I think this morning alone he has 56 calls already. How about that? And he didn't answer them. So I was telling Brother Bubba, yeah, he just doesn't do it himself. He's so bored. But that was kind of quite the joke there. But to get to have him with us again. And we do appreciate Brother Value, we really do. And he's been a great help. He remembers the track league when they first got the building back then. And when there was probably just a church, when it was still the church building probably back then before the addition. But anyways, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Father, we thank you that we can gather here. We think of our brethren in the Ukraine and all they're going through right now, and I pray for them. I pray you'd pull back Russia and, Lord, and spare the brethren over there. I know that it might be a government like ours, but I do know that a lot of light was going out of the Ukraine. And, Father, we pray for them. And, Father, I know right now a lot of light's going into Ukraine and all those trying to get out. We've sent, I don't know how many tracts already over there, and Father, I know more are being printed now for that. And I just pray as people are going through this time in their life in a crisis, as they're presented the gospel in these camps, I pray that, Father, as the truth goes out, I know many missionaries are going there and preaching the gospel and giving out literature and helping them in areas, some feeding, clothing, even water and food and everything. Father, we pray for them. But today I pray for our services. I pray and bless the preaching of your word and the teaching in the Sunday school hour. And Father, we just ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
All right, this one you'll need your Bible. 192, the B-I-B-L-E. Amen. 192, have your Bible ready. We'll do it twice, maybe 3. The B-I-B-L-E, yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the B-I-B-L-E. Bible! Let's do it again. The B-I-B-L-E. Yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God. The B-I-B-L-E. Bible! One more. Some of you just now catching on. The B-I-B-L-E. Yes, that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God. The B-I-B-L-E. Bible. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Get some ushers up here. We receive an offering. All right. Everything that comes in during the Sunday school hour goes to the missionaries when they come to the conference. And as we said Wednesday night, we definitely have another source of great need. A missionary that we support over there is taking in a lot of refugees, as many as he can handle. And if you give anything to the Ukraine at this time, it'll go to him this time. So, amen. Brother Superinger, we pray for the offering this morning, sir.
Heavenly Father, we come before you to grace. What a beautiful day. Because you made it.
Yes.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Amen. Well, good to have everybody here today. And Aaron's out singing. A lot going on in the world. We are going to be back in the book of Romans. There's something going on in the world. It's Calvinism. I tell you, it's really bad stuff. Seems to be really popular these days. And it's funny, I grew up in Michigan, and Calvinism was everywhere then. Because it's the heart of Calvinism in the country, really. Calvin College was in our area, but it's become very popular. And this isn't really a message that was directed that way. I'm not saying that there's not some decent guys that are Calvinistic. I know Charles Spurgeon was, and I know J. Vernon McGee was. I don't agree with everything he teaches, but in other people, I think, that the old school, they're at least soul conscious. They're out knocking on doors trying to win people to Christ. But let me tell you, the doctrine is really bad. And a lot of people don't realize a lot of John Calvin's works he wrote while he was still under the payroll of the Pope. And some of his doctrinal beliefs, one of them is like that everything since creation, God just ordains it to happen. Like if I sneeze today, God ordained it to happen. I was like, I'm a pre-programmed robot. That's what you call fatalism, and that's by their own acknowledgement. That is the same thoughts Muslims have, and their own acknowledgement. Some of their most popular writers will agree to that. That's fatalistic view, and let me just say this: that's not biblical. And the last thing I want to do is try to align myself and say, "Well, we agree with the Muslims." I don't need to agree with them. Listen, I'm going to go on this today, and we're going to be Romans 8 to start with. I know we left off last week in Romans 9. I'm going to start on a few verses today that I did not cover very well when we went over them. I realized that I had gone right around these. I touched on them briefly, but I want to dig in them a little deeper today. And then we're going to jump back to where we left off in Romans 9, okay? So I gave you the notes because they've been updated for today. So, amen. All right. That'll be $49.95. If anybody else would like any, my notes, $49.95. I'm just kidding. Amen. I'll give you a deal for $45. Amen. Just kidding. But let's read Romans 8. We're going to begin reading verses 28 through 30, and then you'll see how this will fit in even as we get into the middle part of Romans chapter 9. In Romans chapter 8, verse 28, a lot of people misapplied this verse. You have to look at it in the context, and the following verses shed light on Romans 8:28. He says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God. Now, that's an important part of the verse, right? To them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to heaven or hell. Does it say that? What does it say? Predestinate to be what? Conformed to the image of Christ. Right? You'd be surprised how many people take these verses and they go to places that's not written. Anyways, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. What's that? Preeminent. But anyways, verse 30, moreover, whom he did predestinate. Now this is history past. God foreknew it, so he predestinated what? For you to be conformed to the image of Christ. That's past. It was already a goal of his, that he knows who's going to get saved. I better not get ahead of myself. And whom he called, he also justified. Whom he justified, them he also glorified. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I with complete confidence that you believe wholeheartedly the Scriptures teach clearly that you want all men to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. Lord, as we go into these verses, I pray you'd help me. I know this is a very difficult passage for many. They struggle, they stumble, and they hear somebody, and they twist it into a bowl of spaghetti. It's so clear and so simple, but people are in love with their intellectualism, try to make it what it doesn't say. And I pray it help me today in simplicity get across to our folks. And I know they're with us already, but that they would see here that you want everyone to get saved. And that's flat out, that's your desire. And Father, I pray you to help me today teach on this passage, and I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, verse 28, he says, all things work together. The key word, together. Everything works together. And this, again, the following verses are going to shed some light on this verse, all right, in a second. But if you get if you get a raise in your salary, that doesn't do a whole lot for you. That's awful, wonderful, man. It does on this aspect that you go, man, life's good. If you're the farmer and every year is a bunker crop, you know what? It does affect you, right? But all things work together for good. Now, it's one lady was sitting in a church and these preachers were talking about it, and she said, well, it's real simple. They were talking about what these verses really meant. She said it's real simple, and you've probably heard this illustration. It's like me baking a cake. She said there's no one thing in and of itself that tastes good. You don't want a raw egg. You don't want a teaspoon of flour. You don't want a teaspoon of salt. You don't want baking soda. You don't even want cocoa powder that's not been sweetened. And you might want 1 teaspoon of sugar, but that's going to be the end of it, right? But if you put them all together, and then you put it in the oven, and you'll put the heat to it, what will come out is a wonderful German chocolate cake with coconut frosting. Amen? You say, where'd the frosting come in? That was an addition right there. Because I do like that. Amen? So, all right, listen. You think about trials in life. And I want you to go to Genesis 50 for just a second. Genesis 50. Now, let me say this. People go, well, even my sin. No, he doesn't say that. All things work together for good to them that love God. Now, don't get me wrong. When he chastens you, it'll have an effect on you, and you'll listen and submit yourself. Guess what? It'll go to this extent. While on your travels for Christ, and you love God, that's what he said. How do we know we love God? By our obedience, right? If you love me, keep my commandments. So we love God. Here we are. We're saved. We love God. We're trying to fulfill his will in our life. On that road, everything God puts in your path or allows in your path will work together for good. You may not like every part of the journey, but if you'll just let God have his work, when it's done, you got German chocolate cake. You'll like the finished product. All right? That's simple. Look at Joseph in Genesis 50, verse 20. He says, but as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it for good, unto good, to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now think about that. To save much people alive. Now let me say this. Now you all know the life of Joseph. Do you think Joseph, it was good when his brothers roughed him up and threw him in the pit? That wasn't good. That was like the baking soda in the cake. I don't know if they put that in there or not. Ladies are going, put baking soda in cake. Biscuits, I don't know. Anyways, I know cocoa gets in that thing. And how about when they sold him? How about when he was sitting in that pit and they're talking about killing him and they finally sold him as a slave? That didn't feel good. And how about when he got sold as a slave and he winds up in Potiphar's house and he was falsely accused, thrown into jail? That wasn't good. None of it was good. But the end product was good. When he said, you meant it for evil. Every part of this, you meant it for evil. The devil may throw things in your path, but if you're trying to live for God, you love him, you're trying to be obedient, even everything he throws in your path, if you are living a surrendered life to Christ, best you can now, you're not perfect, nobody is. You love him, you're trying to submit to his obedience, to his word. Everything along that journey, just like with Joseph, but he says there to save many lives. Let me say, along this journey, everything God's ever placed in your path, every preacher, every teacher, every trial, on the path for Christ. I'm not saying you go out and do something stupid in your life and you make a bad choice and you pay the penalty. That's not covered there. A guy can chasten you, and if you respond right, we can get back on that right journey. What I'm trying to say is this, to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose, Every single trial, every teacher, every preacher, everything God has placed in your life on the journey for Christ, as you submit to Him, you're in His will, all comes together. Every trial, every affliction, every sickness, every disease, all comes together for one thing. It'll be for good in the end if you just let it. You say, no way. I'm telling you it will. The Bible says it. God's bound by His word, right? We heard that the other week. Me and Bubba were talking about that before that. I've preached one time on the sin of death, and Brother Wayne says, oh my, you better watch it now. He says God's going to honor His word. Wayne knows that. Wayne believes that. There's a sin unto death. You want to just sit there and live in open wickedness and sin, God can take you out of here, right? I mean, what's that? God's bound by His word. What's that got to do with the message? I don't know. That just slid out. But Romans 8:28, all things do work together. Every trial, every affliction, every teacher, every preacher. In Ephesians 4:11, what God put teachers in their life, evangelists in their life, for the perfecting of the saints. Now let's move on to the next verse, because now it's going to shed more light on that verse. I went to these verses because of what we see here. Also, I realized I didn't cover them very well when we went through Romans 8. Now, Romans 8:29. Now, he says all things work together for good. Now, he's going to shed light on it. For whom he did foreknow, them he did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Foreknow. That, I don't know why this gets so many people fits. It means foreknowledge. Listen, time is laid out before God. If on the radio today they said you had cattle, Brian, and part of them are in a low country, and you got a creek going through that low country, and they said, man, it's just pouring right now, and they said there's going to be a flash flood, watch out for Brian's Creek, it's coming up, and you got cattle on there, you just got a glimpse of foreknowledge. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to go down there and you're going to get your cattle up, right, so they don't drown or sweep down the creek, right? Well, let me tell you, people have a hard time with this. God knows who's going to get saved. You go, man, look, and don't you say, man, that's mind-boggling. Yes, it is. Don't wrap. You'll kind of blow a few fuses trying to figure all that out. But all of time is before God, like laid out on a map. It's nothing to Him. Right? I mean, when he speaks of Christ on Calvary in Psalm 53, it's like it already happened. Why he says in Romans. Revelation, it's the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. It's as good as done. He is already slain. Why? Because God foresaw it. And God foreordained that. Well, this just simply means that God knows who would believe the gospel and receive Christ as a Savior. And those people that He knew this would happen, this is eternity past now. He knew, and you say, man, did he make you? No. He didn't make you get saved. He didn't make you be lost. He didn't make you be a murderer. He didn't make you be what you are and your character. Your choices in life, God just knew it. He's seen it all. But according to that foreknowledge, He says, look, Bubba Stouter is going to get saved at 8 years old. That little boy is going to get under conviction, and I know it. And I have a goal for him. That's what predestination is. I have a predetermined end for him. I want him to be like Christ. Amen. Not heaven or hell. He's already saved. And He says, I want him to be like Christ. That's what He says in that verse. He did predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son. Right? All the trials. You look back now, every trial that you go through in Romans 8, as you love the Lord and you're trying to do His will in your life, it's trying to get you to be like Christ. You say, man, I don't like it. I know it. When the heat's turned up. Even when it was all mixed up, I didn't like it. When the heat was turned up, I didn't like it. But sometimes I got to read this for myself and remember that every trial I've been through, Brother DeLange, helps me get ready for the next one. Every one. And I become more and more mature. Once I get through that trial, some of you have gone through things even, I know Mrs. Tucker passed away. Brother Tucker lost a wife. A mother is gone. Friends, aunt, and some of you here have lost wives. We got a lot of widowers in this church. But all that, you say, what does that do? Well, like 2 Corinthians 1, you'll be able to comfort others with the comfort that you've been comforted with. You know, that you can make you'll be able to help somebody I can never help. And it's going to be a great blessing to somebody someday. Because I've not been there yet. But all these trials, what? That verse 29, he says, those he did foreknow, what? He knew to get saved. He did predestinate to be what? Conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. What's that? He'd be the preeminent one. But listen, now we go on to verse 30 of that passage. Look at it. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, what? To be conformed to the image of his Son. He already knew, foreknew, right? Then he also called. Now that's the present tense. What's that mean? He brought you under conviction, right? He brought you under conviction. When you got, Isaiah 1:18, let us reason together. Look, bottom line is he justified, right? What's that? Man, when you got saved and the Holy Spirit came along, you heard the word of God, it was sown in your heart. Holy Spirit came along, he called you, he brought you under conviction. Is Isaiah 1:18, let us reason together. Well, Jesus said that he'll reprove the world of sin. What's that? He came along, he wrapped his arm around you, and he brought you under conviction, and he wooed you, he called you, he reasoned with you to come to Christ. And when you said yes, and God already knew it, when you got saved, he justified you. It's done. What? You are innocent. It's as if you've never sinned in the eyes of God. And then he said glorified. That's a future thing. Well, wait a minute, we're not glorified yet. No, I'm not glorified, I'll tell you that. Some of you may think you have. I know I'm not. Amen. I got a long way to go. What's that mean? That's the future. That is the future. Amen. What's that? When you and I are going to be with Christ forever. Amen. And receive that wonderful glorified body. Now, I did that for a reason. I wanted to go over that because we didn't go over Romans 8:28 very well. But also I wanted you to see the foreknowledge brought up. And I wanted you to see the predestination brought up. I wanted you to see that because as we go back to our text in Romans 9 now let's jump on down to Romans 9. We'll read a few verses in 6, and we're going to look at Esau and Jacob. We looked at that last week. We're going to go over that real brief. A lot of people think, see, God preordained Esau to hell and Jacob to heaven. Doesn't say that one bit. This is just amazing what people put in the Bible. Look at Romans 9:6. Let's begin reading there. Not as though the word, of course, we talked about last week. God in his sovereignty, what? He chose Israel. He can do that. He's God. God put Israel on the shelf. Guess what? He can do that. He's God. He doesn't have you to answer for. Nobody. There's no equal. I'm God. Beside me, there's none else. But now we move on to this section. Look at verse 6. Not as though the word of God had taken on effect, for they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. What's that? They're not all spiritual Israel that are Israel. They're not all saved. There's going to come a time when the Son of God's going to come back at the end of the tribulation. He's going to come down, and they're going to look on the one whom they pierced. And guess what? Nationally, I believe, they're going to get saved. Amen. They're going to believe on him. They're going to see him when he comes back. But look at this. He says, not as though the word of God had taken on effect, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God. But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elders shall serve the younger. Talking about Esau is going to serve Jacob. He said, that's not fair. God is sovereign. Remember the foreknowledge of God? God knew that Esau is a profane man. All right, now look, let's read on, and we'll go to a couple verses here. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. And I'm going to stop right there. But I'm sorry, I didn't read verse 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. I want to go now here to this. I want you to go with me. I'm going to say this again. You have to temper election with foreknowledge. We just saw that, right? According to foreknowledge, what? God knows who's going to get saved. Go with me to one place and first go to Hebrews chapter 12. Because in Hebrews chapter 12, we're going to see this again. I want you to see this. Maybe you weren't here last week, but I want you to get this in your mind. Again, you have here, God chose Jacob over Esau. For what? For the lineage of Christ. not for heaven or hell. It doesn't say that. Throughout this chapter, it's all about what? In the end, who's coming out of Jacob's loins? Christ is. What did Esau sell for a morsel of bread? His birthright and all these promises, right? Well, I can't cover everything, but you got to temper election with foreknowledge. And, look at Hebrews 12. Look, God knew before Esau was ever born, as his whole life played out before him, what Esau would do. He knew that he was a profane individual. He knew that spiritual things mattered nothing to that man. So when he was born, he tells Rebekah, he is going to serve the younger. What? Yeah, just do what I tell you. Now, you say, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, just trust me. I'm God. I know everything. Look at Hebrews 12:16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. Profane means heathenish, wicked. It means, in Webster's, it means irreverent to anything sacred. I mean, he didn't think anything of sacred things. And God knew that. He saw his whole life. He says, he's not going to be in the lineage of Christ. Jacob is. What you don't find in that text, what some people try to put in there, doesn't say that he was preordained to heaven or hell. Esau had the same chance to get saved as anybody else. Amen. Now, we go to 1 Peter. You're not very far from there. And then we're going to move on to Pharaoh. As Paul in a second is going to use Pharaoh as an illustration. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. It says, again, people hear the word election. See, we were elected for heaven or hell before the foundation of the world. That is so untrue. It's so untrue. And I'm going to nail it down before I get done. One of these, I might do a short series one of these days again on Calvinism. It seems to be everywhere. It's, anyways, let's go on here. Verse 1, Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father. What? The foreknowledge. God just knew they were going to get saved. I mean, that is it. Of this, through sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Jesus Christ, grace be unto you, and peace be multiplied. This has nothing to do with predestinating somebody for heaven or hell. Now let's go on back to our text, and we'll look at the illustration that Paul gives of Pharaoh. And people go, see, God hardened his heart. Well, it does say that. Well, let's go ahead and look at it. Romans 9, let's begin reading there. You see the sovereignty of God and the mercy of God here. Look at this. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. That's a strong negative, amen? Where he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the God that showeth mercy. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore he hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy. Now, God is not unrighteous. You say, well, wait a minute. God raised him up for one reason, to cast him into hell, raised him up just to make an example out of him? God hardened his heart. That is just not fair. Like I said, there are those that believe. A Calvinist to its truest form. People say it's hyper-Calvinist. Hey, they're the ones that brag they came from John Calvin. A Calvinist to his truest form that adheres to John Calvin's doctrine believes that everything has been ordained of God. That means that God had to have made hell not just for the devil and his angels, but for man too. And that means that God made Adam and Eve fall in the garden. But let me just say again, no, he didn't. Now, go to 1 Samuel with me. I told you to read those verses this week. I know you did. How many read those 1 Samuel 6 this week? Amen. Maybe you saw a verse that stood out to you. Anybody see the verse? When you read 1 Samuel 6, did you see the verse that goes along with this text? Of course you did. Amen. We're going to show it to you. Now you get the text. It's like now you get the answer in the back of the book right now. Why did I want you to read 1 Samuel 6? Look at verse 6. 1 Samuel 6, verse 6. Wherefore then do ye harden your hearts as the Egyptians, and Pharaoh hardened their hearts when he had wrought wonderfully among them? Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Wait, I thought God first off, Pharaoh hardened his heart. And I want you to go to Romans 1. You'll see, we went over this already, I believe. Well, I don't have them in my notes, but I know Romans 1. So let's just go to 21. We'll go with my chicken scratch in my Bible. All right. Listen to this. Downward spiral of man, correct? Look at this, verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God. Okay? They knew God. Man knew God, right? Adam and Eve knew God, right? But as time went on, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, became vain in their imaginations, or the foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image, to birds, four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Now because they did this, they knew God, and they turned away from God. So what does God do? Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies. First, we know God. Then we're over here worshiping the creation more than the Creator. And God says, fine. And he gives them up. What happened there? First, they hardened their heart. First, they rejected truth. First, they rejected mercy. If you reject the mercy of God, you're embracing death. Now, go on. Look at verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections. Even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. What? Did you see? There's the second one. They did this. God says, fine. He gave them up. First, it was their rejection. First, it's their rejection, then it's God. Just like Pharaoh. Look at verse 28. Even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, again, this is the spiral downward of mankind, right? God gave them over. Look at that. They did not like to retain God in their knowledge. That sounds like society today. God gave them over to a reprobate mind. Now, this is the point of no return. You're reprobate, you're a castaway. God's not dealing with you anymore. You don't see that till now, but it's like they just, you know what? Let me tell you something. The same sun that softens the butter is the same sun that hardens the clay. You want to openly reject the mercy of God, the grace of God. You know what you're doing? You're just embracing death. And that's exactly it, and when you see this, people look at these things and they think, I'm going to probably be done early today, but listen, this is going on so much. People say, well, God predestined us for heaven. Somebody said to me, and I love them, and they're dear, they're kind of an outskirt of family. They said to me, well, doesn't that just thrill your soul that God predestined you and chose you and all that? I said, you're telling me that I'm supposed to have my heart thrilled that God created people just for one reason, to throw them into hell? Listen, that is terrible. Someone just told me about a book that says, where's the love of God in this? Exactly. No, I said, no, I can't embrace that. I can't love that. That grieves me to no end that you think that way. What is that? And some people go, well, I've never heard this doctrine. Well, it's flourishing everywhere. Why do we run the buses? Give them boys and girls a chance to get saved. For years, Leonard and Eunice Brown ran the bus. Physically, he can't do it anymore. He can pickle it out in a pinch sometimes. For one reason, see the kids get saved. Brother Chuck and Miss Sarah have been doing it for how long? But that's here. But you've been doing it for 30 years. Why is that? Oh, it's so fun on that bus. I drive it when a pickle. I still got my CDL. I better not say. I was going to say, I don't do what I want to do sometimes. Amen. I love them crumb snatchers. I do for one reason. I love them screaming and hollering and punching and once in a while saying things they shouldn't say. I don't like that part of it. But every time one of those little ones comes up to you and they're crying, and they say, "Oh, preacher, I want to get saved." Hallelujah. That's why we do it. It's funny, Bubba come in the other day and he had a bag for going to the kids downstairs, and I looked at that bag. Miss Sarah can testify to this. I saw one thing in all those bags of lessons and teachings. I seen the Milky Ways he was going to bribe the kids with. I looked in that bag. Why did he buy those Milky Ways? One reason. Everything is them kids. On the wall, it's got artwork. Miss Sarah had a class down there. It was all decked out. Why? Why'd she put all those hours into painting it, decorating it? One reason. Get saved. That's it. Let me tell you this. Go to Matthew 25. Listen. I'm really grieved. Churches are, there are churches that we're running don't get me wrong, I know there's some big Calvinist churches. I get it. But I know churches that were good independent Baptist churches, were in 1,500 people. They get in a Calvinist, and then, well, they didn't even know it. They ain't got the gumption to tell them up front. And then when you find out it's not doctrinally the same, you know what happens? Everybody leaves. All the soul winners leave. All the mission-minded people leave. They all go to other places. And now that church is going to crumbling, down to a couple hundred people at the most. What happened? What's going on here? Yeah, dirty skunks. Something stinks in Denmark. I was preaching in Kentucky one time, and I didn't realize it. And I told the man, if I had a piece of Calvinism on me, I'd cut it off. And I know that. I'm joking around all that. I got done there, and someone said, "I cannot believe you said that." And I said, "Well," I said, "that guy's Calvinist." I said, "What?" And I said, "Well, they never did invite me back, so I guess I didn't go over good." Let me tell you, look at Matthew 25. Look at verse 41. We're walking out of Romans, as you can tell. What am I saying? Look at, did you see Pharaoh, though? What, did God harden his heart? First he did. First Moses comes along, "Let my people go," and who is this God? Truth just came to Pharaoh. "I don't know that God. Get out of here. I'm going to make it harder for his people." He hardened his heart. And God says, let me tell you something. You're here today and you're lost. God doesn't promise he's coming and knocking on your door 10 times. I remember a man one time and talking to him. He says, "Man, I would do anything if I could come under conviction again." Because I kept rejecting it. I don't want to make it harder than it has to be, but I'm telling you, listen. Look at Matthew 25:41. "Then shall they say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, in everlasting fire, what prepared for the devil and his angels." Nobody has to go to hell. That's predestination there, if you want to talk predestination. There is a place prepared for what? All those God elected for hell and the devil and his angels. Doesn't say that. The devil and his angels. Nobody has to go to hell. They do it by choice. 1 Timothy 2:4 says, "Who will have all men to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth." Israel got set aside, as in our passage here, because they did not accept God's grace and salvation. Israel stumbled over Christ, not seeing the purpose of the law, which was to bring them to Christ. Go to Acts 13, if you will. Maybe we'll stick in Romans for a minute here. Acts 13, verse 46. Paul was dealing with the Jews. Don't get me wrong. Blindness has in part come to the Jews. There's still Jews getting saved. I don't know if we support some Jews now, but I have correspondence with many. But anyways, look at verse 46. "Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold," and this is dealing with the Jews, "it was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you, but seeing God put it from you." Is that what it says? No, it doesn't say God. It says, "Ye put it from you. And judge yourselves
unworthy of everlasting life. Lo, we turn to the Gentiles. Who deemed them unworthy? God? They did. They rejected the truth. You say, well, why did God turn to the Gentiles? Put Israel on the shelf. Well, that's a good question, and he asked that at the end of this chapter, and he's going to give you the answer. Look at down to Romans 9:31. 9:30. And you may say, well, how in the world could Israel, who is so favored, be rejected and temporarily set aside, and the Gentiles who were not favored be accepted? Well, the question and answer is right here. Verse 30. What shall we say then? That the Gentiles which follow not after righteousness have attained to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith? But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, hath not attained to the law of righteousness. Wherefore? Because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. All the answers right here. Israel followed it, but they didn't attain righteousness. Well, why not? They sought it not by faith, but as it were by works of the law. Well, they stumbled at that stumbling stone. As it is written, behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone and rock of offense. Whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. That's Christ. It's not what the law thinks of me, as one said, but what I think of Christ. Not our righteousness, but his righteousness. Christ is still the stumbling block today for many, right? Now listen, remember, God is not seen predestining anyone in this chapter to heaven or hell. According to his foreknowledge, he knows who's going to get saved. He knows who is going to receive Christ. He knows who is going to reject him. He doesn't make them do that. And I'm going to button this up with just a few things here. Now, I'm just going to tell you what. I'm just going to go, I guess, as we say, by the seat of my britches. You think about it now. I mean, just my mind just starts to wander now, right? We know. You think of one verse that God wants to see all men saved. I just read one in Timothy 2:4, right? 2 Peter 3:9, God is not slack concerning his promise, as some may count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. You know, Jesus said, all, ye that labor and are heavy laden, what? Come to me. Who? All. Don't matter who it is, all. We're going to get to Romans 10 in the next week or so. For whosoever should call upon the name of the Lord. Amen. You'd be surprised. I sat and have argued. You say argued? I did. One time I was at the fair, and I had this guy. I did not know Primitive Baptists were hyper-Calvinist. And I'm sitting there arguing with this old guy. He comes up there and he goes, that's a good track. He said, except what this means is that he died for the elect. I said, it doesn't say that. And we literally, every time we'd go to a verse in the Bible that God says, I want all men to be saved and to come to know the truth, he goes, what that means is the elect. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever, that means God's elect. I said, did you notice something every time we've been going together to the scriptures? And now this time we have a gathering. People are watching us because we're out in front of the booth now and we're raising our tones a little bit. We're like Paul and Barnabas, going at it just a little bit. I said, did you notice one thing every time? And he goes, what? You had to change the word of God to support your doctrine. Yep. I said, let me tell you something. He is a propitiation for our sins, and not our sins only, but the sins of the whole world. Hey. Huh? Yeah, that's what he says. Listen, the invitation is to all. Whosoever will, let him come and drink. Right? Amen. The Bible ends with a great invitation. Look and live. I mean, listen. It's just, you guys, well, this guy is so intelligent. I'll tell you what, I have come to the conclusion that they're in love with their intellectualism. They are. And every time you can take them to a clear passage, you know, that like we looked at. I mean, you can take them to Romans 10:13. You can take them to 2 Peter 3:9, 2 Timothy 2:4. Show all these verses that he wants all men saved. And whosoever will come unto me, I'll save them. It doesn't matter who it is. And they'll say, well, on what this means. And they will, man, I'll tell you what, they will pull out the biggest spaghetti noodle you've ever seen and spin a web. And it's like they're just in love with their intellectualism. Let me tell you something. When there's something clear in the scriptures, you do not go to some vague text to support it. To try to, you know what, if it's clear, it's clear. When God says, I want all men, when Paul's writing Timothy, the preacher boy, he said, I want all men to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. You know what he really meant? He meant what he said. Well, when he said, for whosoever should call upon the, he meant whosoever. When, I guess in the Old Testament, he said, choose ye this day whom you will serve, he hadn't read Calvin's works yet. And I guess Paul didn't after we just read that verse. Means how you choose yours. Oh no, they're preordained to be. Let me tell you something. God doesn't tempt any man with evil. Right? God did not make Adam and Eve sin in the garden. God doesn't make you sin. I had a guy in jail one time go, man, how could God do this to me? I go, what? I said, now wait a minute, son. I did. I'm always a little gruffer at the jail. They need it. Well, you were there. Brian was, yeah, I kind of. You guys, I'm nicer to you guys. But one time I cracked a joke and I said, look, I like you guys. I have a captive audience. I started laughing. They started laughing. And about 5 of them stopped and they said, that's not funny. I better stop here. I was going to go down one more. Let me just say this. It is sad. Let me tell you something. God wants all men to be saved and come to knowledge of the truth. That's it. Period. I was going to say something. Left. It must be that. It should have left, I guess. Let me say, I know we go through this. Listen, why did God choose Jacob over Esau? He foreknew that Esau was a profane individual. And for all of Jacob's rough spots, he still was a man of, he adhered to spiritual truths. You know, he still was a man of faith. And you can say what you will, but that's the end of it. It's like David, you say, for all of David's rough spots, God still liked him to be king of Israel. Why is that? God does set up who he wants and sets down who he wants. Because he knew that he would fulfill, the Bible says, all his will. If you look at the Bible and you study David out, you'll see he said he liked him to be king of Israel. Why did he like him to do that? Go to Acts. He says because he knew he would fulfill all of his will. Well, David did this. God knew David would do his will. Sometimes you get a guy who says, why in the world did God call that guy to preach? I ask God that a lot. Why me, Lord? Yeah. Fulfill his will. I'm going to keep preaching. I'm going to keep teaching. I'm going to get back up the door knocking. Plague is past. We need to press on. We need to win people to Christ. I wouldn't even go out, Brother Bruce, if I thought I wouldn't have a clue who's predestinated to heaven or hell. No. I'd go out like Thomas Brunk. Never forget him. I know I've said it over and over. Somebody not here right now said, will you please go and talk to my relative? Just don't tell him who sent you. I said, okay. They said, this is a really rough place. I went, I've been in rough places. He's filthy. I said, no problem. I go to the house, knock on the door. I said, somebody that cares for you sent me. He said, okay, come in. I go in the house, and it was the filthiest place I've been in, and I've been in some holes. I grew up in the hood and ghetto and been in some of my friends' houses, and they were just filthy. This was the worst thing I've ever been in. And I asked him where he knew he was going. He said, I'm going to go to hell. And he says, there's nothing that I can do about it. I said, who told you that? And I laid the gospel out. And I said, Thomas, I've got to get back to church. We've got a revival tonight. I said, Thomas, do you want me to leave you in the same shape I found you? He began to weep and cry. He said, no, I don't. He said, I'd like to get saved. I said, all right, Thomas. I led him to Christ. And that night, I said, Thomas, would you like to come to church? He lived way out in Wilmington, right by where we were at the other day. Went way out to Wilmington, way out there in the boonies, in Wilmington, the town. And he goes, I'm battling cancer. And he said, I'm in a lot of pain. I said, I understand that. He calls me up an hour later. He goes, you know what, I'm feeling better. I'd like to come. I said, oh, that'd be wonderful. It was my first revival as a pastor. John Mitchell was here preaching. And Thomas Brunk came up, and he sat in the second pew. And I went to go give him a Bible, and he says, I've never read a day in my life. I cannot read. He was closing in on 70 years old. And I said, that's mighty fine. I said, you just listen up, Brother Brunk. He said, brother, yeah, he's brother. I said, you just sit there and listen up. And he preached on the prodigal son. He sat there with the biggest $1 million smile you ever seen in your life. What happened? Somewhere along the line, someone told him that there was no chance he could get saved. I just laid the gospel out, and I says, well, there's the invitation. It wasn't a great one. I just said, do you want me to leave you the same way I found you? And the man said, no, I want to get saved. And he got saved. It's a whosoever will gospel. Well, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, the world's confused. Now, Father, we know that the wages of sin is death. And as we realize that, we also know that Christ tasted death for every man. That doesn't mean everybody's going to get saved, but they all can be saved. And we know that. The invitation goes out to all. Are gone.
Father, I pray you bless the next hour. And Father, I ask in Jesus' name, amen.